Complete game coverage of the Cougars is right here on the KSL Sports Zone. The Cougars return home for a battle against TCU. Your home for the best coverage of Cougar football is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. You're listening to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Woo!
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Join Hans and Scotty coming up tomorrow from noon to 3 at Sound Sleep Medical, 8941 South, 700 East in Sandy. Ben, can I nominate somebody for Bozo of the Week?
Sure.
This is college football related, so it can kind of guide us into a college football discussion. Have you followed the latest news this morning from the Brian Kelly LSU firing saga?
I saw just a headline that he wants to make sure they're going to pay him.
So let me give you the details, and I will get to my nominee for Bozo of the Week.
Okay.
Well, actually, I'll tell you my nominee right up front. Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry.
Yeah. Whose idea of was getting, to get out in front of this, he was playing hardball. He was like, the athletic director is not going to hire the next head coach. He didn't say he was going to, but he said the athletic director was not.
So he saw LSU fire their coach and said, hey, that's not about me. I need to make this about this guy.
Yeah.
This is not anything he needed to step into, by the way.
And
all right?
he painted it as, well, I don't want the taxpayers on the hook for a government employee
huge buyout.
Yeah, $54 million in this
And
buyout.
the person who signed this ludicrous contract needs to be held accountable, and that will be today. And then they fired, what's his name, Woodward. What's his first name? Scott. So they canned him. Now, back to Kelly's buyout, and here's where the bozo behavior comes in, Ben. So Brian Kelly's buyout works like this. He's got $95 million less left over 10 years, but it's in his contract, it says he is to be paid 90% of his remaining salary for the life of his contract, which would put LSU on the hook for close to $54 million in the form of monthly payments to Kelly through 2031.
Okay.
According to, I'm reading a CBS Sports. So basically what happened, Ben, is that now LSU wants to negotiate with Brian Kelly to pay him a sum up front, but then he forgoes, take a lesser sum up front.
Now. Yeah.
Less now.
Like winning the lottery.
Right. So Kelly had actually agreed with Scott Woodward, for a $25 million buyout. According to reports, they had agreed on $25 million. The governor steps in, makes it about him, fires the athletic director. Brian Kelly has now rejected settlements of 25 and 30 and says he wants the full 54.
That's how he said it. You're quoting how Brian Kelly talks now that he went to LSU.
Southern accent.
I want 54.
So that's Brian Kelly. Faking a.
Is this Ed Ogeron?
Faking.
No, this is Brian Kelly.
So this moron.
Foghorn Leghorn?
So this moron actually may cost his state close to $20 million. So by stepping in and making a situation about him that did not need to be about him, he actually not only did not accomplish his goal of saving the taxpayer money, he actually cost the taxpayer $20 million.
According to documents obtained by the Baton Rouge Advocate, this is ripped straight from ESPN, former LSU athletic director Scott Woodward offered Kelly a lump sum payment of $25 million on the day he was fired. Woodward also offered to remove the mitigation language in Kelly's contract, which would have reduced the buyout amount if he coached again. So basically, the advantage for Kelly taking a $25 million sum, which you'd say why you would do that. Well, if he gets the full buyout, if he goes and works for another team, he's essentially working for free. It's the same amount LSU would have owed him taken out. So that makes sense why he would agree to a smaller lump sum. And then, yes, the deputy athletic director, Julie Cromer, later increased that settlement to $30 million over 2 payments. But now that's off the table. That's tough.
Way to go, Jeff.
Brian Kelly's lawyers told LSU officials that the coach was still open to additional offers if the university provided written confirmation that it intends to pay him the full $54 million he's owed. It's very tough. Good for Brian.
Listen,
I've never thought I'd say that.
Don't don't make things about you that don't need to be about you.
Yeah, you don't need to put yourself in the middle of it.
You don't need to do it. You know what? I'm guessing your constituents would have moved on with their lives if you would have just stayed in your office.
Making enemies when you don't need to is weird.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and
weighing in on college football doesn't make any sense. Stay in your lane, Jeff. Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Brian Kelly's attorney said in a letter that LSU officials previously confirmed that he was fired without cause, which means he's owed 90% of his compensation. It's crazy.
Yeah, I said this. Can you imagine if Spencer Cox went to the podium and said that Mark Harlan needs to be fired? It'd be ludicrous.
Yep.
We'd be like, what are you doing, Spencer? Stay in your office.
Yeah.
With all due respect, Governor, what are you doing? So anyway, this guy deserves what he gets. That's my opinion.
It was a good Bozo of the Week.
This coaching carousel.
Is that a clown horn?
That's funny. I like that.
Yeah. We need a slide whistle, but yeah, we're
this coaching carousel is going to be wild, and I wonder how close it hits to home for BYU, Utah, or Utah State for that matter. I don't think Bronco's looking to go anywhere, but you never know. He did leave New Mexico after 1 year. And I don't know, if LSU calls Bronco, he's probably going.
Yeah, LSU would be a good choice for Bronco.
So I wonder how close that comes. I mean, I've seen Joey McGuire's name out there. I mean, if Texas Tech rolls through this league, I was
thinking that too.
I mean, does he get one of these big-time jobs that are open? Or the other big-time job that comes open when that big-time job happens? I saw a rumor that Kalen DeBoer is going to replace Stinkin' Riley at USC.
Kalen DeBoer at USC. Okay.
Because the AD at Washington that hired DeBoer is now at
USC.
And
they're going to pay him a fortune to leave Alabama.
And maybe Kalen DeBoer's like, these people are crazy down
here.
Not
my people. Even though he's winning and he's doing a very good job.
Maybe I go replace Stinkin' at Troy.
Washington's going to open up. Jed Fish is doing a truly atrocious job. They just lost to Wisconsin, so there's a chance he's out, which is maybe the only job I would – or, I mean, USC if Stinkin' were out. But the only jobs that I think could reasonably call Kalani and make a real pitch. I don't know if – I mean, look, if LSU calls and offers you $75 million, you have to listen. I don't really care. Florida offers you that much money, you have to listen. Penn State offers you, $70 million. You have to listen if you're Kalani regardless, but – there's a real chance BYU still wins the Big 12. And if that happens, I'm not speculating about Kalani leaving, but teams will have to call him. Kalani's a great coach.
What about Morgan?
Morgan would be interesting.
See, that gets to, I know we've had a promo running about this, but that gets to what we're talking about. I mean, how long are you going to stay and be coach in waiting?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, even if you want to look at it this way, if it came down to Morgan or Witt, who would Utah choose?
That'd be interesting. I think they would go with Witt.
Even though the expiration date is
shorter.
Much shorter, unless he wants to hang on to his 70s, which I guess he could do.
He could do. No, you're absolutely right. And
because if I'm Morgan and I call UCLA, I don't think I'd take that phone call because that's such a disaster. But if Washington opened up and they called Morgan, I'm picking up the phone. If Coach Witt decides that he's going to stay.
Yeah, what job? Colorado could open. I don't know what the plan is for Coach Prime, but
I don't think he's going anywhere. Strangely,
I don't know. Yeah, I honestly have no idea.
Well, Colorado's not going to fire him.
They're not going to fire him. But what I've recognized is I have done a bad job making predictions of what he's going to do. So
me too.
I can say I truly don't know what his offseason would look like. But Washington could certainly open up.
But Utah and BYU having good years makes their coaches, in theory, attractive candidates, including not only their coordinators, but in Kalani's case, head coach might be attractive. If I'm Kalani, I don't leave the West, certainly.
Who's the coordinator? This is an interesting question. Who's the coordinator most likely to leave?
Well, I would say Morgan if it weren't for the coach in waiting thing.
I think that, in fact, makes him the least likely to leave.
I just wonder. I honestly do. How long are you going to wait?
Sure, I totally get it. Who do you think would be the most attractive? I'm really curious about this. I don't know. I'm trying to parse this out. I probably irresponsibly haven't thought about this a whole lot. Who do you think is the most likely to get offers and who has to leave if they get an offer? I think there's a real argument. Both A-Rod and Jason Beck, if they were to get offers to go get a head coaching job, even if it was an Oregon State or something along those lines.
Neither one of them will. So
you really tap danced around that, didn't you?
I know what I'm not saying. I'm not going to say those words. I don't know. Utah has a top 5 offense, right, in college football?
Yeah, Witt's offensive coordinators don't get head coaching jobs, and A-Rod has never been up for a head coaching job.
But that makes me think that if you were to go out and win a bunch of games and have a top 10 team, and someone says A-Rod coached Zach Wilson and A-Rod coached Jaron Hall, and A-Rod has found a way to turn Bear Bachmeier into a very good quarterback in his freshman season, do we have to give him a chance? What if we give him a chance? Baylor could open up, and I don't think Baylor goes after A-Rod or Jason Beck. That's not what I'm saying. But I think if a Colorado State or a team of that caliber in the Mountain West Conference, man, maybe you do go outside the box and look at these teams who are a little less difficult to poach. Because I do think if you offered them a head coaching job, A-Rod and Jason Beck would have to listen.
Again, neither one of them are going anywhere. And as far as A-Rod goes, his name has never come up in head coaching searches because, and that sounds like a slight to him. It's not. I don't think he wants to go anywhere. I think if he wanted to go somewhere, his name would have surfaced somewhere because that's what we see, because that's what happens is your agent puts it out there and then all of a sudden you're in the convo.
I don't know if I agree with that.
He did not go to Washington when he was offered the offensive coordinator job there. In fact, he took the job and then came back. And when he got fired from Utah, he waited a year until taking a volunteer position with BYU. And I don't know a ton about his personal life. I have no idea. But I don't think he wants to go anywhere. I think if he wanted to go somewhere, I think we would have seen his name a bunch. In fact,
but to your point, no one gets hired away from Utah.
No, well,
offensive coordinators don't know it is. You're right. I had forgotten about the Washington thing.
So I don't think Jason Beck is going to be a candidate. I just think that other people suck all the air out of the credit room when it comes to Utah and the offensive court. I mean, Andy Ludwig, in order to negotiate his last deal, had to invent a Notre Dame connection where he went to a hockey game or something like that because he didn't have any leverage.
Yeah.
So
like that?
It's just, I don't know. You take the offensive coordinator job at Utah, and it just doesn't seem to, Brian Johnson's climbing the ladder came after he got
exactly
fired.
Right. And so that's why I do say that if you were to get offered, you have to leave. You have to take a gig because it doesn't come along for you. So if a New Mexico or somebody said,
comes
hey,
for Jason Beck, okay, it's not going to be New Mexico, but I see your point.
But yeah, if somebody along those lines in that ilk comes for Jason Beck because he's somewhat young, he's had a good couple of years, might bring a quarterback with him, I guess. I don't think, New Mexico's not going to be able to outbid Utah for Dampier, but could potentially bring a guy with him if at the right school. I could see that getting interesting. But they are not going to be the first call. It would be Morgan or it would be Jay Hill.
No, the candidates will be Morgan, Jay, and Kalani.
Yeah.
And you will know who's actually considering leaving to go anywhere based on whose name surfaces in the rumors. And by the way, that's starting now, but don't believe everything because I've seen the Kalani and UCLA thing, and that's ridiculous.
I agree. I wouldn't believe that for a second.
No. So they're not all true, but there are interesting rumors, and you better believe that these hires are being made now. That's why all these schools fire their coaches so early. It's because they're all going to decide. I mean, when did Stinkin' Riley actually take the USC job, Ben? Because he officially took it the day after Oklahoma's regular season ended. Like within hours.
Yeah.
When did he actually take that job? Probably a month before.
Yeah.
You and I both knew that Danny Sprinkle was leaving Utah State and going to Washington.
Yeah.
Weeks into the season?
Yeah.
A month into the season?
The second you start winning, you're gone in certain situations.
But my point is that we knew it. When did Danny take that Washington job? It wasn't after Utah State's season ended.
No.
It was months before.
Yeah, it was. That was a done deal.
That's why these teams are firing their coaches, is my entire point.
Okay.
Early. It's because they're making LSU will make its hire a month before it makes it.
Yes.
And if you see any universities who fire their coach early out there floundering, it's either they're waiting for a coach to be done or they're truly incompetent.
You know who's going to get a job, to bring this a little bit locally to what happened this weekend, is his name Shale Wood, the defensive coordinator for Texas Tech. He's interesting because I think he is now the first call over Morgan Scalley or Jay Hill, if you're talking about a coordinator coming out of the Big 12. If you like a defensive coordinator and those guys were up in the running for you, you're probably calling Shale Wood now because he's 43 years old, because he has put together this immaculate defense. Now, we know how they have this great defense. Unless he's bringing Cody Campbell, the donor from Texas Tech, with him, I don't expect him to replicate the same success wherever he goes, but he is showing he has a dominant defense right now.
But listen, this coaching offseason, and the reason why this is so relevant, is it is going to be wild and unlike anything that we have seen. There's already unprecedented jobs open now. What happens with the fallout? And how closely does that come home?
Yeah, where are we? Do we know what jobs are open officially right now? Auburn, Penn State, LSU, Florida. Florida State could come open.
Likely will, but has not yet.
Washington, I think, is probably going to come open.
But there are more that are open.
UCLA is a good job. I mean, UCLA is a big school, right? It's
Virginia Tech, of course.
Virginia Tech, everyone's favorite school, the biggest. Yeah, well, we're going to wait for the Virginia Tech hire so the rest of the dominoes can fall, as always is the case.
Let's see here. Oklahoma State, of course.
Oklahoma State's open.
So let's see. LSU, Penn State, Florida, Auburn, Oklahoma State, Virginia Tech, Arkansas, Stanford, UCLA, and that's the end of this list.
Of jobs that are already open.
P4 jobs already open.
And, yeah, we haven't seen other jobs that could potentially open up. We mentioned Colorado. We mentioned... Man,
who leaves to take LSU? I mean, they're not going to promote a coordinator. They're going to take somebody else established.
I think Baylor could open up.
Penn State,
I think there are other Big 12 schools that could open.
Penn State is going to hire if you believe the rumors, the Louisville guy.
Okay.
So where does the ball roll from there? Who's the Louisville guy? Who does Louisville hire?
Yeah.
Do they bring back Bobby Petrino? Much like Arkansas did.
Man, there's a real chance Kenny Dillingham leaves. There's just so much money out there. At some point, you have to... This is a cycle. Do you know what this reminds me of? Remember the NBA got the huge boost in NBA salary cap money overnight, and who was the center from the Lakers who got $50 million?
Oh, yeah.
Timothy Mozgov.
Yeah, Mozgov.
And who was the other one?
Otto Porter.
Oh, yeah, all these guys. All these just ridiculous
hacks.
Bums.
Yeah.
Got $80 million contracts out of nowhere.
Chandler Parsons.
Everyone had money,
Yep.
and they're like, well, we're stupid with it. Let's just give everyone as much money as we can. And we saw it happen, and a bunch of underqualified people got contracts they could never live up to. You are going to see more bad coaching hires come out of this circle because there are so many jobs available. There's going to be a crazy bidding war for mediocre talent. And that is where it does get interesting of like who leaves.
Right. Honestly, if you're Morgan Scalley, do you say I want to stay on ice or do I want to take a huge job for huge money?
Yeah, this is a seller's market. There are desperate people. There's a ton of demand.
Yep.
And so someone's going to fill it. And it's probably going to be average people. And I don't want to say Morgan Scalley and average in the same sentence. Morgan Scalley is not average.
These jobs would not be available to him
most years.
Most
cycles. Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. This is a funny year to have two top 15 teams in our state.
It'd be nice if, you had an extra $20 million to go hire the next guy. Bringing this full circle to LSU as you stare at me blankly.
Uh-huh.
I was making a joke about the bozo governor.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm
thinking,
next.
how much is Kalani going to cost? Because you're going to have to pay him to retain him.
Get a raise. Yeah.
He's going to get a raise.
Yep. Stay tuned. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Nobody gets you ready for Utah football more than the KSL Sports Zone.
Ready?
Kyle Whittingham and the Utes hit the road to Waco for a showdown against Baylor. Your home for the best coverage of Utah football is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. You're listening to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jacob Ben, want to remind you, Ethan Millard with Teton Wealth will be live in studio today with Hans and Scotty to help you with your retirement plan. Tune in or visit retireteton.com. There has been some breaking news in the NFL world. Ben, the Giants, your Giants, have thrown Brian Daboll out on his ear.
The football Giants.
He is fired.
Well, they're 2-8. Am I right on that?
And he put Jackson Dart back into the game with a concussion. Good
Again.
move.
Yeah. To your point, some coaches really love playing injured guys.
They love it.
I can't get enough of it.
Are you breathing? Get in there.
You do recognize a little bit of, I guess, why he was panicked. He knew he was on the hot seat. He said, well, if we win this game, you can't fire me after a win, so I'm going to do everything I can to go out and win this game. And if Rusty's out there, our chances of beating the suddenly red-hot fingernails-led Bears are slim. But if I have Jackson Dart out there, maybe we have a chance. But his own coaching decision, not going for it on 4th and a half yard over the field goal, ended up costing them because they needed to go up, what would that have been, 17 points? Instead, they're only up 10. I guess they would have gone up 14 points. They're only up 10, and they lose 24-20.
This is why bad franchises are the way that they are.
It's funny because I don't consider the Giants a bad franchise.
They tried not to win that Super Bowl with Tom Coughlin because they kicked the tires on firing him, and then he went on a run and won the Super Bowl. And then they stunk forever, and then Eli kind of did it again, and then they stunk after that. I would argue with you, but that's neither here nor there.
No,
This is a great example, though, of I've always said if you're going to fire your coach midseason, now maybe it's different in college football these days, but then why didn't you fire him before the year? I mean, you, Ben, you, Christian, and I are not the world's greatest NFL experts. Based on the last 3 years, all three of us could have told you what a bozo Brian Daboll was going into this year. And then he comes back and he stinks, and they end up firing him mid-year, and it's like, okay, I could have told you that.
Yeah, I think they're 2-8 for the third straight season.
And they started over with a new quarterback, which is an excellent
opportunity.
Excuse to move on to a different coach. It hadn't been working with the previous young quarterback. Why would you think it would work now?
I think that's the worst thing you can do for a rookie quarterback is fire his coach in his rookie year and then give him a new head coach in his second year.
Well, ask Alex Smith how well that works.
With all those offensive coordinators.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, no, it doesn't. But bad franchises are going to bad franchise.
Well, I hope they hire Bill Belichick. The adult novelty era.
That would be a curious move.
But bad franchises make bad decisions, and he obviously has very strong ties to the area and to the team, and is probably still regarded by old school people. And it is funny because you kind of brought this up at the beginning of the show, which is when you are in panic mode, you revert to the most conservative options sometimes. Which is funny to think of Bill Belichick right now as a conservative option, but he's the winningest NFL coach. Is he the winningest of all time? Regardless, he's the most successful when it comes to Super Bowls, etc. So you just fall back and you're like, man, if you had told me I could hire Bill Belichick 5 years ago, I would have jumped at the opportunity, and he'll do it for a sack of potatoes. He'll coach the team for nothing.
I find I love it that you brought this up because any chance we get to talk about the adult novelty eras, I'm fully on board. But
there's a non-0% chance they hire Bill Belichick.
There's a 0%.
There's a non-0%.
He has beclowned himself so much over the last year.
This is the Giants who brought back Brian Daboll for 3 straight seasons.
Okay, maybe I guess not 0. Fine. But if I'm the adult novelty heiress, I do this calculation. What's closer to Nantucket?
Right.
New York City or Chapel Hill, North Carolina?
Yeah.
Because that's where she wants to be.
Yeah. But the East Coast is small. You can get there from anywhere. Yeah, it's easy. And the FAA is open again. You can fly around.
There's
good.
no way the Giants would hire Bill Belichick.
I'm not gonna say no. He's not gonna be the front runner, but he's gonna show up on the betting boards.
Okay, listen, let me give you an example. Don Nelson is what? The second winningest coach of all time? Or is he third now?
He's up there.
Third. Behind Pop, Lenny Wilkins, and then Don Nelson, I think. Isn't that right?
R.I.P. Lenny Wilkins, yeah.
When Don Nelson moved to Hawaii and decided to grow his own pot and do mushrooms all the time, Nobody's hiring him.
Correct, but he's not coaching anymore.
No. But you get what I'm saying. And by the way, I'm happy for Don. Go live
Don's
your
the
life.
happiest man on the planet.
But once you make a pivot and become a less serious person, you're not going to get hired as a coach again. Which again, good for Don. Enjoy your retirement. Bill Belichick has pivoted to clown and has ruined his prospects to be an NFL head coach ever again. Not to mention that he's 79 or whatever he is. No chance.
I am a fan of the Chicago White Sox. They hired Tony La Russa, washed Tony La Russa to come back and lead one of the youngest rosters in Major League Baseball amidst a disaster of the franchise. And Tony La Russa got a DUI the day he got hired. Mm-hmm. Bill Belichick is legitimately a better option than Tony La Russa. And guess what the problem was? The owner of the team, of the White Sox, Reinsdorf, had previously employed Tony La Russa and said, well, I know that guy, and things feel bad, so I'm going to go back to where I trust, even though everybody on the planet knew Tony La Russa was a moron. Everybody knew it, except for the guy making the decisions. Is it who owns the Giants? The Maras. They owned the team when Bill Belichick was there. I've seen this happen before. I wouldn't bet on it, but I would say there's a non-zero chance Bill Belichick is back in the NFL because he doesn't want to coach college.
Oh, well, no.
So he will go back begging to get this job and do whatever he has to get it.
I'm not going to get into the business of defending either Jerry Reinsdorf or Tony La Russa. But I will say that Tony didn't donate his soul to a 24-year-old grifter.
We were just talking about Casino, the movie Casino.
We were talking about, a 24-year-old grifter has totally manipulated this guy into completely setting on fire his reputation. I think that's a different animal than Tony La Russa's flawless.
Well, I am rooting for it. I'm absolutely rooting for it. I would love to see Bill Belichick back in the NFL coaching the Giants and doing an okay job.
Well, the heiress wants to be Taylor Swift in the box. That's like her.
Right. Especially in that stadium, in that city.
It'd be such a disaster.
Does he at least get an interview?
Absolutely. Yes, 100%.
No.
Bill Belichick is going to interview for the Giants head coaching.
Absolutely.
No doubt about it. Absolutely. And what he's going to do, he's going to do the same thing he did with North Carolina. He's going to hire the hotshot young assistant who's not ready and
his son?
Well, no, it's not going to be his son, but he'll hire some.
Oh, his son's following him to his next job.
He's guaranteed the North Carolina job.
If Bill retires.
So Bill retires and steps away and then goes to the NFL. He steps away from college football. He will hire some 25-year-old savant who's going to be the next great coach. And Bill says, I'm just going to show him the ropes. I'm going to teach him how to do it.
I don't think Bill could,
his
ego could let him do that. Why?
He and my girlfriend went to high school together.
No,
he's not ready yet, but he's going to be a great head coach one day.
Bill has notoriously been such a psycho that he hires idiots because they're not going to usurp him or take the credit or whatever. Who's your donks guy that keeps going back to the Patriots? Josh McDaniels. He can barely get his pants on in the morning. He's so unintelligent. Bill brought it back. Who was the bozo with the pencil?
Yeah, who ended up being the Giants head coach?
Matt Patricia. Who was the overweight?
Bill O'Brien.
Who was the overweight gentleman that ruined Notre Dame and then ruined Kansas?
Yeah.
Charlie Weiss,
yeah.
Bill O'Brien, one of the biggest bozos in the history of coaching. No, Bill's not hiring some wonderkid because that person gets the credit.
First of all, there's no wonderkid that exists. No, you hire some kid. You say this is how I sell myself. The same way his son's an idiot. Yeah, his son's not going to be a good coach.
He's not going to surround himself with smart people.
No, but he promises that, and then North Carolina says we just hired 2 head coaches. We're the smartest team in college football. We hired the greatest NFL coach of all time, and we got a son. We got a bird in the hand, a ball in the carpet. Life is good.
If the Giants did that, they would officially surpass your White Sox for worst franchise in sports.
I'm keeping my eye out.
Got a lot of faith.
I'm excited for it. He's going to get an interview.
Is he going to take that media hack who's his GM with him? Lombardi? What's that dude's name?
Here's what's going to be interesting.
Who's currently in Saudi Arabia because he's battling with the adult novelty heiress?
You know, can't get
Is that guy going too?
Can't get him out of Saudi Arabia. He's locked up.
He's in the desert.
Not locked up, but he's
in the
there.
desert.
Yeah. Here's the funny thing. Where all these college jobs, we were talking about this in the last segment, this crazy coaching cycle is going to keep a lot of these college coaches probably in college. So, like, Lane Kiffin is probably a pretty reasonable name for the Giants. And he's got NFL experience. It wasn't super successful, but he's got NFL experience. Lane could pass up the Giants.
Lane doesn't have NFL experience. Sark does.
Lane was with the Raiders.
Yeah, for 1 year. I wasn't thinking about that.
So he's at least toyed with the idea.
Uh-huh.
But Lane
Al
maybe chooses to go to Penn State or chooses to go to LSU or chooses to take whatever job wants to pay him $75 million and he doesn't go to the NFL. I honestly think the Giants could end up with a weak coaching hire or a name because of how many good college jobs there are. And now I would leave college to go to the NFL, and I think everyone should because I don't think being a college head coach is very fun. But it'll be interesting to see who gets linked to this job.
Yeah, but then you fail. I wouldn't automatically take an NFL job if I were a college coach. No way.
No. If I was done with coaching and I wanted to cash out, pretty good. But then again, maybe Brian Kelly's the target to say, oh, no, stay in college. They got to pay you a buyout forever. Your life's good.
One of the smartest things Lavelle Edwards ever did was say no to the Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
If he would have taken that job, would he be the legend that he is?
No, of course not.
I bet you if you asked Nick Saban, hey, Nick, would you take the Dolphins job again? He'd probably say, absolutely not.
Yeah, it doesn't work out for most guys. It's worked out for some.
Urban Meyer proved what a clown he is with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Because the problem is, I've said this forever, not to get sidetracked, but what makes you a good college coach is not what makes you a good pro coach and vice versa. So the crossover, the Jim Harbaughs of the world are rare. He might be the only one.
Jimmy Johnson. Right?
Jimmy Johnson. Yeah. Can you think of another?
No, there's not a ton.
There really isn't.
No.
All right, stay tuned. We wrap up the show. Coming up next, Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's another battle for the Aggies, and the KSL Sports Zone has it covered. The Aggies head south to Las Vegas for a Saturday afternoon showdown against UNLV. Your home for all the play-by-play coverage of Aggie football is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. You're listening to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson.
Let's lock in.
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
I will fit it for.
Faking a.
Is this Ed Ogeron?
Faking.
No, this is Brian Kelly.
That was your favorite part of the show today.
I had
I
some
want the
laughs
full
today.
fit it foe.
Again, I don't want show's not supposed to be a comedy routine, but I don't mind laughing.
Brian Kelly faking a Southern accent is pretty hilarious.
Amazing. This is college sports are hilarious.
Now, my question to you, do you think he did that on purpose? Like I did that on purpose. Do you think he did that on purpose? If you've never seen the famous video, it's like when he first gets to Baton Rouge, and then all of a sudden he's speaking to the student body at a basketball game, right? Or and he fades into a Southern accent.
Remember, Oprah
was it on purpose?
Accused of this, not code switching necessarily, but depending on who she was interviewing, especially early in her career, she would start to mimic the way they talk.
Hillary Clinton famously did it.
Yeah. So is that what Brian Kelly was doing? Was he just around a bunch of people?
Like, is it manipulative or was it accidental? Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying.
Or, did he say, oh, this will get me. This will make me. I don't think he's intelligent enough to say, like, I know how to do this. I think he was just, like, hearing how people talk and then responded in kind.
So I think so, too. And here's my, and I may have said this to you before, but so my dad is from Virginia. And if you listen to my grandmother, for example, she has certainly a Southern accent. Mm-hmm. In Utah, my dad has no accent whatsoever.
Sure.
When we go back to Virginia every year, all of a sudden it's y'all this and y'all. He settles back into it. I don't think he's doing that on purpose.
It's a great night to be a Tiger. I'm here with my family.
Yeah. Not how he talks.
No. But I don't think he was like, I'm one of you. I think he accidentally did it.
I think so, too. I think you're right. I think he was talking to a bunch of good old boys.
Or whatever. Yeah, everybody down there has a thick accent. Yeah,
and realize like, oh, this is. I didn't realize, but just started talking that way, using the words that they're using, and I know I do it. I know I do it as well. So
there's an island not far from where my dad grew up. That's called Tangier Island, and it's completely isolated. The only way to get there is with a ferry boat, and there's like 20 people who live on the island. Anyway, they're all, and their families have all been there forever. If you ever talk...
Notoriously crazy accent.
If you talk to them, if you run into one, which I obviously have, I have no idea what they're saying.
Yeah.
It was like the last place in the continental U.S. to get like running water or something like that. It's like, and ESPN did a commercial about it that it was the last place in America to get internet. Kind of funny. But yeah, no idea what they're talking. But if they lived in Utah for 10 years, they'd probably lose some of that accent.
For sure. And we have it. I catch myself saying still and, instead of steal and trying to shed it.
Still like what Hawkeye Pierce had in his tent in MASH?
No, still like how many stills did the Jazz get last night?
Christian, MASH was a movie in the, late 60s.
I thought it was a TV show.
And then eventually was adapted to a TV show.
Robert Altman?
Robert Altman. Yeah. The movie is brilliant. Well, what was the TV show? Like late 70s into the 80s, right?
Yeah.
The TV show actually lasted way longer than the Korean War that it was.
Pretending to portray.
Right. But he made his own liquor with a still.
The still.
In his tent.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with a steel.
A steel.
John Stockton is the career steals leader.
Not a stills leader.
Was the still made out of steel?
No, it was glass.
Yeah.
Haven't you ever seen a still before, Christian?
Haven't you ever seen MASH before?
No, there's no way he's seen MASH before.
Oh, MASH is still on TV. But you're right. That was that was a staple. If you were a sick millennial, I don't mean
like home
a
from
sicko.
school.
I mean you were sick home from school.
You watch MASH.
You watched Price is Right, and then it went right into MASH.
Yep.
Not on the same channel, but you didn't. There was nothing else on.
Anytime
that midday soap operas.
Anytime that suicide is painless, you knew, you're like, oh yeah, MASH is on.
MASH is on. Here comes the helicopter.
You see the helicopters. Yeah.
I like the TV show. MASH is, and that's not a hot take. Everyone likes the TV show. It's one of the great.
I like the movie
time.
way more.
That's fair.
The movie's way more irreverent, and was like the first major motion picture to use the F word.
Okay.
And has a football game in it.
So that's why you like it?
No, I just thought it was interesting to note.
It's Sutherland?
Donald Sutherland.
Yeah. It's got a crazy cast.
And Elliot Gould.
Yeah, Elliot Gould's in it.
And Bob Duvall is Frank Burns.
Yeah. It's a good cast.
It is a good cast.
That's what Robert Altman was good at.
The only, do you know the only character that was in both? Or the only actor that was in both?
No, it's not Hot Lips.
Nope.
Because that was played by somebody else. Who was it?
Radar.
Oh, yeah.
He was the only one who was in both. He and his weird hand.
He had a birth defect.
It's amazing to go back and watch that show if you know about that.
He hides it.
They shoot it incredibly well. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they don't. You would never even know. MASH. Hey, Ants and Scotty like MASH too. They have.
Well, they're old people.
Yeah. What do you think tonight? What do the Jazz have in store for them, Ben? I mean, I don't think they're going to lose by 40, but I don't know. It's going to be tough sledding with no Walker Kessler.
Again, I kind of feel for Will Hardy. And, I'm sure he makes plenty of money and has a good life and nice family and beautiful kids, and life's fine for Will Hardy. But the hard part about tanking, and the Jazz tried to do this before, and it got derailed a little bit, and they got bailed out because out of nowhere, Rudy Gobert was a Hall of Famer, and Donovan Mitchell really came in. But they ran into it at a couple of areas pre those guys. Post-tanking, Dante Exum, etc. The thing you can't control leaving a tank, amongst several things, which is like, are these players actually going to be any good, is what happens if when you're expected to start to make improvements, you get hurt, and then you don't really control the outcome of that season, and then back-to-back years of horrendous basketball, uncontrollably get into 3 years or get into 4 years, and then you don't even get a chance to develop the guys the right way because you can't play meaningful basketball unless Walker Kessler's on the floor because you can't defend anybody. And now how does that change the development of Bryce Sensabaugh or change the development of Ace Bailey or Walt Clayton, et cetera, down the line? To your point, you can't play Kyle Filipowski at center, but you have no choice but to play him at center. So are you actually helping his development? That's where the Jazz are running into. So what is Will Hardy going to do to salvage this? That he's smart, he's creative, so I think he will figure it out. But that's what I'm curious to see tonight, and how quickly does he shift into that mode? Because he's smart. He sees the same thing everyone else does, which is I can't pretend that competitive basketball is going to be the goal with the roster as it is at the moment. So that's what I'm looking for. I don't know what to expect. I mean, I expect the Jazz lose by 20. I think that's what's going to happen most of the time. They're going to play Indiana coming up here in the next couple of days. They should beat Indiana or at least be competitive with Indiana. But if you're playing a real team right now, you should smoke the Jazz because the best way to win games is get a lot of points at the rim, and the Jazz can't stop you from doing it. And good teams have an ability to manufacture those.
Pregame starts at 6. Tip-off at 7. They're back home.
For a while.
All right.
4 straight this week. Today, tomorrow, Thursday, Sunday, if I remember correctly.
Stay tuned. Hans and Scotty G are coming up next. 97.5
Thanks, Christian.
The KSL Sports Zone.